Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
Hey there, friend. If you're anything like me, then you have no clue what a mutual fund is, and your life might be subject to market risks too. You should check out Paisa Vaisa by Anupam Gupta, who'll answer all your questions about mutual funds, financial planning, banking, all that money stuff. Check out new episodes on the IVM Podcast app or anywhere else you listen to podcasts.
Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of the Geek Podcast. Today we have Jishnu, Sid, and me, Tejas, on the show. Sup guys?
Hello.
Hi Jishnu.
Could you hear me gulp?
Yes, I did hear you gulp. Are you afraid of something? Because that's what they do in cartoons. Sid, hi!
Hi.
Sid, you're the editor of the Geek website.
It's true, I am.
And Jishnu, you're an editor. Like video?
He does video editing.
I do?
Yeah.
Yeah, also. I'm just naming things that we all
This high-level banter you can find nowhere else.
I just want to, include a little bit of, exposition into our characters just before we begin the real plot.
You do that. I'm running on like 4 hours of sleep, so...
Well done.
All
What
right.
a trooper this man is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So today we have a cool episode. We're talking about the latest from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Spider-Man Homecoming.
Is it Marvel / Sony?
Yep.
No, it's just the Marvel Cinematic Universe's...
You dismissed that quite heroically there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Sony, you had your chance. You had your time with the Spider-Man.
They had that chance twice.
Yeah.
You could say 5 times.
So what's the deal exactly? So it started out as a Sony character.
I can explain the entire history
Here we go.
in a minute.
Pay attention, everybody.
All right?
Okay, go.
It's the 90s. Actually, it's more like the 80s.
Okay.
Marvel has no money. They sell their soul, mostly to Lucasfilm, actually. And
Okay.
they are brought out of debt. They start licensing their characters to anybody who wants to put them on film. And so a bunch of rights are distributed to different studios, whoever can snatch them up as quickly as possible. Most people are interested in things like Spider-Man,
X-Men. Yeah.
etc. And so Fox gets X-Men, Deadpool, the like. Actually, not even Deadpool. Not at that
Deadpool
time.
was a
It came
side
after 2000.
quirk.
But they did have the rights to it. And but the only 4 characters who were like kind of up in the air was Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, and Thor, which then Marvel Studios buys back late 2000s after they realized, hey, wait, everyone's screwing up our films. Let's just buy back all the IPs.
Addendum.
Yes.
That movie was actually not that great. I don't know why it was like Oscar nominated.
Which one?
Up in the Air.
It was a great film. It's
It's
Jason Reitman. I love that guy.
Here's I.
All right. I really
Glorious.
liked it.
Glorious.
I liked it. And
Okay.
also Vera Farmiga is very good looking.
Nice.
Okay. So, moving on.
Yeah.
I see where your allegiances lie.
Yeah.
So moving on. So Marvel buys back its IPs for at least these 4 characters.
Yeah.
But it's too difficult to buy back Spider-Man because Sony has just locked it in so damn
Tight.
hard. Yeah.
You made it dirty.
No, and it's difficult because they had a lot of success with the Tobey Maguire,
They
trilogy.
did. That is as what most people think is the start of the comic book movie as it is today.
No,
in a
X-Men
way.
is. I want to say Blade is really, but
No, I
but
don't think
X-Men
so.
was 2000, and that was before Spider-Man. So yeah, yeah.
I
So
still
technically,
think Spider-Man was bigger though.
oh yeah, it was much bigger.
Much
It was
bigger,
much more
yeah.
successful as a franchise,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it did really well. Spider-Man 3, still one of the. I think it's still in the top 10 highest-grossing films.
And it's sad because it's the worst one.
Yeah, it's arguably the worst. But I mean, then we did have a follow-up with The Amazing Spider-Man. Instead of
Yeah,
Spider-Man 4,
yeah.
we got The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. And that's Sony's second attempt.
Yeah.
And then when they realized they mucked that up as well, then the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which was meanwhile doing really, really well with all its characters, including all the Avengers, etc., decided to say, hey, listen, I'm going to extend an olive branch.
Yeah.
And say, if you can get on this horse if you want to. And you can...
But you
split
have
the
to share.
dividends. Yeah, you have to share.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. And Amy Pascal, who is the the Kevin Feige, the creative head of Sony Entertainment, in terms of at least this IP.
She sort of brokered that peace treaty.
Actually, Kevin Feige did. I'm not the biggest fan of Amy Pascal because she made it very unclear as to what the future of the Spider-Man series
We
has
talked
been.
about it on Geekfruit, the website.
Yes.
If you all have seen that, geekfruit.in.
Yeah, it's a strange thing because she went out on record to say that the sequels of Homecoming will not be part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I think she said the second one perhaps would be, but definitely not sure about the third.
Right, so she said all of that, and they were still continuing with the plan that they started with the Andrew Garfield franchise, but now they're continuing it with creating their own Spidey universe, so the Spider-Verse, which includes characters like Black Cat and Venom, now who Tom Hardy is going to be playing, which is interesting.
Question about the second Amazing Spider-Man with what's-his-face?
Andrew Garfield.
How did that end? The very ending, there was like a
the ending
post-credit.
is actually quite
There's a
nice.
post-credit
The
like
ending
tease.
is great.
What was the tease at the end?
Tease was teasing the Sinister Six, I believe.
Yeah.
But there was a character that was like in prison.
No, so that was Norman Osborn.
Oh, that was Osborn, right?
Yeah, and
we
we see the suits for all the Sinister Six.
Right.
Exactly.
So, not very memorable as...
Well, anyway, yeah.
Okay.
So it's not Norman Osborn in the end, right?
It's Harry Osborn, I believe.
Okay. All right. Because you believed differently like 30 seconds ago.
Anyway, I'm
he
allowed to change
pressed
my
commands.
beliefs.
He did. Yeah.
I'm allowed to change my beliefs.
He did.
But yeah, so so that's why. So she made it clear that she doesn't want the sequels to be. But now that story has been. They have changed their beliefs.
Sure.
And now they're saying that obviously the Homecoming sequels will be part of the MCU, but none of the other characters. So not Venom, not Black Cat, Silver Sable, etc., which is supposed to be one film together, something akin to the Gotham City Sirens or that kind of series. With so I think they're gonna retcon that little statement, keep Spider-Man in the MCU for a little while longer. I feel like the strangest thing about this whole Tom Holland thing, I don't know, I think I was telling you about this, is that it just reminds me a lot of the Civil War arc in the comic where Iron Man pretty much hires Peter Parker as his personal aide.
Yeah.
And he's his slave. He's like, he'll do anything that Tony Stark asks him to do. Because obviously Stark is putting up Aunt May in the Stark Tower, etc. It feels like Kevin Feige is that Tony Stark and Tom Holland is his new kind of personal aide.
We definitely went over this.
Yeah.
We talked about this.
Just the way you see Tom Holland in press junkets, he's obviously really excited. He's super grateful, but I think when Civil War was happening and he was talking about that and all the press for that, and when he went to Comic-Con mid-filming, like I remember they went to Comic-Con after one day of shooting.
After one day of shoot.
After one day of shoot.
And that's the funny thing, Jishnu, because we did discuss this in our Mega Spider-Man podcast.
Okay, yeah, we did an episode on
and
Spider-Man,
we actually talked about this exact thing. They shot 1 day's worth. Remember? 1 day's worth.
And they showed the rushes.
Yeah.
Live, and even the cast themselves hadn't seen the footage.
Actually, we did it in both. We did it in our Spider-Man podcast and we did it in our Fanboy podcast.
But so I remember, like, back then he was super excited, as he should be, and he was like, "This is amazing. This is the best day of my life." I'm sure it was. And now when you see him, he's obviously still really excited. I'm sure he's genuinely happy with the movie because everybody is, and you can also see just a glimmer of, holy crap, this will never end, will it? And it won't. It like there's
Not for
a bit
a while.
of just there's a slight glint of like fear and loathing of like.
I mean,
man.
I don't want to say. I mean, I'm sure it's pure exhaustion.
Yeah, exactly. That it's more exhaustion than anything else. But it's just like I'm exhausted,
It's a long
and it's
thing.
just the beginning.
And he's pretty much signed his
He's
life
like, of
away
course he has.
for the
Of
next
course he
like
has.
20 years. We're going to be seeing Tom
Absolutely.
Holland, which is why I suppose they're casting younger and younger these days. I mean, like they want to see the longevity of these things.
Yeah, of course they do.
So that's weird. I mean, I don't know how they're gonna. I mean, it's gonna be fine, I suppose. So yeah, we were talking about all these things. We were talking about Tom Holland. Now none of these other movies are going to be part of this universe, but Spider-Man is going to be part of the Avengers. So it's a very weird deal, which I feel can go either way. When they announced it, it felt like a miracle.
Is he really going to be part of the future Avenger movies?
Yeah, he's very much in the
definitely
first
gonna be
Avengers.
there.
So I feel like it's a no-brainer. I mean, why would you allow Spidey to enter so prominently? And they've put a lot of money into the PR and marketing more than other
I
films,
feel like this one's getting a lot more airtime.
It is.
than
It is.
everything
Like
else.
money-wise, this is a bigger budget for this film. The PR and the advertising is far more than
But
say
to
Ant-Man,
the
etc.
end of like what is Pascal going on in her head and what is Feige thinking and how's that relationship working, I think this is pretty much just right off the heels of our fanboy episode where we said, my takeaway was basically, look, I think that there's a little too much power given to the fans. We just were privy to too many things than we should be and just let the pros do what the pros do. Obviously, it's not going according to plan, and everybody's having to backpedal a little bit and like pick up slack for the other guy and things like that. And if you look into it, if you try to analyze it, like you can dissect the Marvel-Sony relationship like people do, like sports. What do you call them? Friggin'
What?
The dudes after the game.
Post-game
Post-game
analysis.
Yeah. You can talk about it like that, just like the way they played.
Extra innings in IPL.
Look at her body language when she went up to the podium and made that announcement.
That is literally what people are doing for Kevin Feige.
People are doing that.
You've seen that video,
and
right?
We
Of the interview
that.
with Feige and
I
Pascal.
like
People are literally like,
we've
dude,
been doing
did you see
it.
he smiled?
We do it all the time.
Of course we do. Yeah, we do it all the time. And so I feel
when
like
George Lucas was addressing the whole 40 years of Star Wars,
Yeah.
we were talking about how everyone was behaving in there. It was kind of awkward and weird, but so
It's great.
obviously fans see that.
It's tons of fun to do, and we're never going to stop. But I just feel like with this thing, I'm off the mindset where, I've said that you guys are definitely far more in the know about Spidey and his history, and have been invested in him a lot longer than I have. And now I'm finally really excited. We'll get into the nitty gritty of it. I'm really excited. I really like the film, and I, like you guys, have no clue what's going to happen because you're getting 10 different sources telling you 10 different things. So I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm a little tired at the idea of thinking about and keeping track of what they're doing. I'm just like, I'm going to wait until they make up their mind, and then I'll tell you how I feel about it.
Yeah. I do want to add something about the whole fanboy, giving fans the power, too much power. But I want to say that there's the other side of that is how it's an excellent thing. Is because we have crossed over into, like, I think we're in the second decade of superhero films, if you want to say. Like, if you had the 90s was the first one.
Sure.
Like, with, all the Batman and the
So
Tim
third
Burton.
decade.
So technically the third decade. Now, in this third decade, we can finally see now that all the people who are creating these films are fans of the original comic, as opposed to when somebody was just like, hey, I've liked it, we kind of know what we're doing, but they didn't really know
the guy has
source.
claws, right? So cool.
Yeah.
We'll make
so they didn't know the source material as well as, like, say, a J.J. Abrams knows Star Wars, in and out.
Yeah.
So I think we are getting the best version, as long as you hire the right nerd
Of course.
for the film, you're going to get some of the best
That's
stuff.
something we touched upon.
Like Kevin Feige himself, such a big fan, he gave us exactly what we've been wanting to see. I mean, that if you just singularly take the airport sequence from Civil War, it's pretty much like exactly like the comics. And
sort of the pinnacle of every Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's an untouchable scene.
it's untouchable,
pretty
and I
much.
still think it's like the best moment from the entire.
And
that's the high point.
I rewatched the airport scene just the other night for like the 30th time, and it never quite hit me how pivotal Spider-Man's role is in the fight, regardless of like his entry being so epic.
Yes.
He's the one that takes down Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And that's the point. They needed him.
Yeah.
They
with
really
an
needed
Empire
him.
Strikes
With an
Back reference, no less.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. So we've spoken enough about the preamble to this film and perhaps what's going to happen after this. Let's actually take a short break and talk about the film itself and whether we liked it or not.
How short a break?
Like, wait for it.
That was Tantrik Steve from Hansraj College, Delhi, performing at IIT Bombay's Mood Indigo. Just like them, there's a lot of new talent and art coming out of colleges all across India, but unfortunately most of this goes completely unnoticed or ignored. To fix this, we started atkt.in. Hi, I'm Ankur, I'm a musician and a rapper, and I found that one of the best things about being an artist myself is finding new talent. Through atkt.in, Tanya, my colleague who's a dancer, and our whole team really is putting all of our efforts into discovering and promoting all the coolest talent that's coming out of colleges all across India. And this goes up on our website, our social media, TV, radio, and now, of course, this podcast with IVM. Make sure you go to our website, support the talent with your likes, your shares, your comments. All of that really matters. Go ahead, check it out. atkt.in.
And we're back. All right, so we're talking about Spider-Man Homecoming.
Homecoming.
Yes. All right. So that one of the Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
Now, in episode 36.
36, you
Yes,
sure?
36.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
That's the number of runs he can score in a over. I don't know why I said this.
Just get on with it. You don't want to die by the sports reference that you can't make. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, that is the most number of runs theoretically that you can.
No, it's not.
Actually,
But
no, practically you can.
Yeah, just talk.
Theoretically, if you have leg buys and stuff, actually no, you have to.
Don't
it
do
has
this.
To hit
Don't
your
do
leg
this.
and then
Don't-
go.
don't
or
do
you
this,
It has to
Tejas.
hit your hand and go to the boundary.
Why are you doing this, Tejas?
All right.
Don't do do this.
Okay, sports. All right, so we had made some, I guess, predictions of some sort when we had our Spider-Man episode.
Let me set it up. Because I demanded this particular episode to be made, and then you, Dinkar, and I, we sat down and we discussed Spider-Man, KYC. What happened? What happened to Spider-Man?
Correct, yes, this is true.
It's like we wanted to know what he was doing and what was up. And this movie was coming up. And we talked about so many things to do with Spider-Man. We talked about him as a character, how he's informed by bad decisions, guilt, and being an underdog.
Yeah, man, he used to be my favorite comic book character for the longest time.
What was the trailer out at the time? No, was anything out at the time?
Nothing was out. Nothing.
All that was out was Tom Holland's backflips on his Instagram.
Exactly.
what
But all we knew is that he was going to be...
Civil War was out.
Yeah.
Had they released the title?
Yeah. We knew it was called Homecoming.
Oh, Homecoming.
We knew that. Yeah, Homecoming.
I see.
Homecoming.
Just to be sure.
Just to be certain.
Yes.
And we discussed what we thought the movie would be like.
Okay.
So here's what we predicted.
So what are you guys hoping to see in Homecoming?
Yes, I definitely think that I mean...
So the good thing is we've skipped the origin story.
Yeah.
part.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
great.
There's no Uncle
we
Ben
don't
dying
know.
all
We don't
over
need
again.
it. We don't need it.
Unless they do it in
see
flashbacks or
Yeah,
something.
flashbacks
but
only.
I think they've decided to skip it, and that's a good call because
Yeah.
we all know. At this
We
point.
know, man.
Yeah.
We got you, bro. Yeah, if it's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Spider-Man, we know, man. We understand.
But this is the thing with Homecoming, right? It's just so much open potential now. There's that moment where, like, I think we guys have discussed this before, where he meets Captain America and they're like, "Hey, kid, where you from?" Queens.
He's like,
"Oh, Brooklyn."
That was the best.
And
That was so
you
good.
know what? We know his neighborhood. He lives in Forest Hills in Queens.
Yeah, he does,
Let him live there.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see him do that. It's
Yeah,
been
yeah.
so long. Like, in the comics, they never addressed the geography of New York because it wasn't this big thing back then. But
But now it's a thing. Like, now
it's
you
a
have
thing.
Harlem, you have
Yeah,
Hell's
you have Luke
Kitchen,
Cage, you
yeah.
have all these guys. So go to Forest Hills, guys. Like, that's
Yeah.
where Spider-Man lives. Like, you can find him there clearly.
Midtown High.
Yeah, so he can go. He can do all that. He can go to school again. He can do all these things. And
Yeah.
I want to see him just have fun with. Like, I want to see everyone have fun with Spider-Man again,
Yeah.
not be burdened by it.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, and Homecoming, just, the word Homecoming also, I mean, means like so much because, they've got the character back. They've also, it may relate to a literal, actual prom scene
Yeah,
in the movie, which
who
would be
knows?
great.
That'd be
I would
amazing.
love to see, like, this prom thing happening at the same time. Like, he has to make it for prom, but he's also fighting, like, the Vulture.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be great.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
So there it is. Look at that. Look at that. Tejas Menon, the soothsayer.
What? It's like the most obvious thing you can think of, I feel.
Yeah, but you got it down though.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like even if you just see any one trailer of any film that comes out, especially a Marvel film or a DC film.
You know that I didn't watch any trailers.
Yeah, no, I don't know. So I just saw
Yeah.
that first trailer. I was really disappointed with all those trailers. But
Okay.
And I was telling this to Jishnu on our episode of the Nerdatorium. But I was just so happy that I earlier used to feel like BVS was let down by its marketing.
Yeah.
But BVS, if it and I said if it didn't show anything in the trailer, we might have enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man was guilty of the same thing. The trailers revealed a lot of the set pieces, but the principal difference is that Batman vs Superman is not a good film, and Spider-Man: Homecoming is a good film.
Yeah. So the other thing that I talked about was Queens.
Yeah,
We
that's so
saw a
true.
lot of Queens.
I was
the sandwich shop.
another thing. Yeah, I was really excited to
Yeah.
see is that Spider-Man generally in all these films and the comics
Yeah.
even more so has an endless supply of tall buildings to swing
Yeah.
from, and I'm so glad we
Yeah.
didn't have
He
we
did,
addressed
yeah.
that.
And
Yeah.
that is again in his neighborhood.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
in that part of Queens, which is residential, there were no buildings.
Yeah, it's
so he had to run and
do that
hit
one
the
scene
fence,
also where like he
jumped
swings,
over the thing.
and then his line is too long, and so
Yeah.
he kind of falls down onto the. I love that, man.
Yeah, it's superb.
It was quite cool to see them approach it realistically. They didn't address a lot of other things in the film, which I guess we can come to, like
yeah,
Spider-Sense
we get
and
to
things
that.
like that.
But the
let's
stuff
talk about the film.
that we did think about, the local flavor
Aspect, yeah.
that was there, the sort of him juggling, him being a kid and being a sort of going to
Yeah.
become a hero is
yeah,
there.
Yeah.
One thing I guess, which we didn't pick up on at all, is how sort of weirdly slavishly devoted he'd be to Tony Stark at this point, and the Stark internship, as it
Yeah.
were.
Yeah, he really loves Tony Stark. But I guess
He
who
does,
wouldn't,
yeah.
man? He's Iron Man, right?
Yeah, he's
I bought
Iron
it. I
Man.
didn't mind it at
Yeah,
all.
I
It made
but
complete sense. But yeah.
I bought it too. I'm just saying we didn't see it coming. Like,
I
we
think
just
it-
thought
yeah.
that he'd be on his own doing his own
Because
thing. I had
you
no
did
idea
say-
that, you know.
You did say that you wanted a really happy, chirpier, more pleasant, fun-filled adventure, which you got. I just think, and I think we all did. I don't think anybody could have predicted just how happy-go-lucky it would be from the word go. Like, I loved that the minute it started, you had that home video thingy, and you could see like the enthusiasm even during the Civil War fight. That was really cool detail to add because that scene, that opening scene, makes the Civil War fight, every time you watch it now, well, I watched it after the fact. After I watched Spider-Man, went back and watched Civil War, and now I can't see that fight without knowing that while Iron Man and Cap are like having their really emotional debate, like seconds before they're about to like go at it, he's in the back giddy like a schoolgirl being like, hee, I'm about to go fight with the Avengers, yeah. And like, I know that. And so when I see him, he's like all calm and
Cool,
like,
yeah.
hey guys, sup everyone. And when he's like fumbling on his words,
Yeah.
I know just how hard he's trying to hold back from saying, can I have your autograph?
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
great.
Yeah.
That's what you want in it.
for
That's what you
sure.
want in a universe
No,
movie.
but this is the thing. He has this so youthful in this thing that a lot of the audience is like, who is this kid? You know, like I went to watch it with a couple of my friends and they're like, why is he so dumb? And I'm like, because he's 15. What do you want from him?
it's
He
great.
doesn't know anything. Like, this is the
That's
first
great.
time he's ever done anything was to fight in Civil War. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Who even does that, you know? And now he's sort of trying to be his own like friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I love how they just
Dude,
introduced
so-
everything.
So smart. Yeah,
And they
really
just
smart.
introduced it, and they're like, "Oh, now he's gonna just take to it," and he
Yeah.
kind of does, you know.
They brought
He-
back meaning into a lot of the words that have been, used for so long. The whole friendly neighborhood
Yeah.
Spider-Man. I'm glad that they.
and he
Yeah.
constantly refers to his neighborhood,
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm over here, and this is what we're gonna do," and
Yeah.
you know the Staten Island ferry, and there's so many
Dude,
little things.
mean, actually, having seen the trailer and seeing all these set pieces, they still felt fresh in the
Yep.
film when I watched them. And I think the standout moment for me was that Washington Monument
Yeah,
set
that
piece. That
was
was
so
great, man. It was
good.
So good.
really well.
So good.
I don't know how they made that scale just feel so like, the scale of how tall this thing is. And when he's literally like, climbing it
Yeah.
up, it just felt
It
like, oh my
felt
God.
really
it felt
tall.
Like,
Yeah.
Visual and practical.
Yeah.
They built the top half of the monument.
Yeah.
They did?
So it's a green screen. So they've already. I love that a
Yeah.
day after the movie premieres, like worldwide, on the 7th of July, on the 8th of July, the internet is filled
'Cause,
with
yeah.
blooper reels and like BTS.
'Cause you wanna
videos.
know. You
'Cause
wanna know
And so like
immediately, yeah.
immediately, so you can see like that entire scene was shot. The exterior stuff of that scene, they built at least like 20-30 feet of the very top of the monument, and then they put that in a green screen room.
Yeah.
So when he's crawling around, he's crawling on a real thing. The sky is made up, and like the helicopter and all that is
Yeah,
BS.
yeah,
but
sure.
he's jumping onto a real thing, and
So
he's
good.
swinging
And
onto a real monument.
You just see he's literally like an insect. On
Yeah,
that damn
he
thing.
really is.
And you really feel like scared for him. Like, like you don't feel like Spider-Man is
Yeah.
invincible anymore.
And
You know,
you
like
get
if he
that-
falls, he's going to die. Yeah.
You get the POV shot of
Oh,
him looking
so
down,
good.
going,
Very-
I know I have to make this happen, but
Very
I
good.
really don't know if I should, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And you're like, you're Spider-Man, you're not supposed to be afraid of buildings. And you look down, you're like, oh, okay, that's a long
Yeah.
drop.
The other thing that I really enjoyed about this film, I think, is that the evolution of Spider-Man's character, over the ages, I like the way they've done it. Like, this is a Spider-Man evolution that I can deal with. Like,
Yes.
things like the suit.
Yeah.
I really like the fact that, it's a Tony Stark suit. It makes sense, the things about the Steve Ditko eyes, right? Like, we've always wanted to see it move, and we never see it move in the movies. And now they figured out a cool way to do it.
and make
Exactly.
it plausible
And using
and-
a character who would know how to do that.
yeah,
I
it's
love
so
that.
good.
It's
Precisely.
so
So great, yeah.
perfect. I mean, and even more perfect to get Jennifer Connelly to voice
Yeah.
Karen. Man, how brilliant is that stuff, man?
I saw that later. I was like, wow.
This is like
how
that's
do you
the kind
figure
of
that
stuff
out?
that just
the
blows
level of
my
detail,
mind,
the
man.
level of detail of fan service, I think, in this one was probably the best that you've
Yeah.
seen in any of the
Yeah,
MCU
it's
films.
multi-layered.
It's
Every
so
little thing.
great. It's so great.
Yeah, so
and
many
I was,
things,
I was
man.
thinking back about the Shield thing. So like, just another random bit of fan service was that towards the end of the film when Hogan. Happy Hogan.
Yeah.
Oh, it's weird just calling him Hogan. But when Happy is packing up Stark Tower and getting everything into the plane to
Yeah.
move and whatnot, he's got moving boxes. He's on the phone. He's like, "Yeah, I got the
Yeah.
belt, and we have the new shield."
Version 2. Yeah.
We have Cap's new shield.
Yeah.
So now that detail goes pretty damn far back in the MCU. So one is obviously we know that at the end of Civil War, Cap
gives
leaves
up
the
the
shield,
shield, yeah,
and so
yeah.
Tony has it, right?
Yeah.
But you go all the way back to Iron Man 1, he's building another shield.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's the one where he keeps underneath the... Oh,
Yeah,
Iron Man
like-
2, I think. Where
Iron Man 2 was...
He
Yeah,
says he could... Oh my god, that's what I've been looking
Yeah,
for.
one of-
Pass it to me. And
yeah.
then he uses it as a lift.
So even
That's so
though...
great.
So the thing is, like, even though we know that Cap and Tony are having a fight, they are still best bros. And so, like, it makes sense that I'm now really curious to see how they're going to bring this all back together.
Yeah.
One really cool thing that they could do, which I'd like to call right now, is that maybe to help bury the hatchet, Tony goes to Steve and is like, yo, I built you a new shield. Can we be friends again?
That would be nice.
That would be great.
I brought you shield and chocolate and flowers.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
That'd be really
I think...
cool, 'cause he's been working on it for years.
Man,
Like,
there's
he's always
actually
had that.
there's a great sorry, just to a small aside, there's a great episode in the Civil War arc where I can't remember the reporter's name, Sally something, in Civil War the comic.
Yeah.
And there's this entire
The Frontline series.
yeah,
right?
the Frontline series, right?
Yeah.
So there's one issue where she goes and she's looking for information, like a source, and she goes and she looks and she finds this one dude, and he's like this Asian guy, and he's like, his back is like bent, and like he's like a hunchback kind of guy. He's wearing like a sailor's cap, and he's got a big blonde beard and stuff. And she follows him into the restaurant, and then they speak for like ages about, and he has all this information about what's happening with the Secret Avengers and things like that.
Yeah.
And then like at the end of the issue, it like turns out to be that's like Steve Rogers who's like undercover, because he just suddenly like sits up straight, and
Yeah.
like his beard is like blonde and like long. And it would be so cool to see like now the Secret Avengers like in hiding,
Yeah.
and when maybe Thanos comes and
So
then they
much-
have to kind of
so
would
much
be
potential
so
now.
much that would be so great to do that kind of stuff. So yeah, anyway, so to come back to Spider-Man, a few things that we did kind of talk about, you know, maybe there might be another character in the film, and Steve Rogers is kind of there in this,
In
like
his own way.
it's
Prominent,
weird.
man. It's so good.
so funny.
It's very
great.
funny.
His-
And Hannibal Buress is just adding to that. This is
Okay,
great.
what is up with the A-list talent for the most
Amazing.
throwaway roles?
Yeah.
It's great. Who doesn't want to be in a
Speaking
Marvel
of which,
movie, you know?
another good tidbit. There was the guy. Can't remember the actor's name. The principal of the school.
Yeah, the
is
principal.
from
Is
the
the same
Howling
actor.
Commandos.
Yeah.
No,
Same dude.
is his grandson.
Yeah, he's got his
Is
photo.
it-
Dude,
yeah.
that's
Same
so
guy.
cool.
Yeah.
Man. I love that
Yeah.
they did that. That's really nice.
His grandson.
Let's talk about the plot of the film.
Sure.
It's fairly. I mean, it's play by play. He wants to be a school kid. He also wants to be a
Avenger.
superhero. Yeah.
He wants to be an Avenger. He is a superhero.
Yeah,
he wants to be an Avenger.
Yeah, he wants to be an Avenger, and just
He's
like
waiting for his chance, and it's not coming, and he's getting like a little frustrated.
yeah, I think Iron Man and Happy kind of overlook a
Yeah,
lot
they
of it. I
string
mean,
him
like
along.
it's not his
You feel
fault.
bad for him.
It's not his fault.
Yeah,
Like I feel
you
in
do
a
feel
lot
bad
of it.
for him. Yeah.
He does behave like an idiot sometimes. Like when he tells Ned, he's like, "I'm way past school." I was just like, "Yeah, we were all with that. We were all that kid."
Yeah. And he runs right into the principal.
Yeah, that was good. So yeah, man, and I really like the whole, the added thing. Guilfoyle is there in it from Iron
Yeah,
Man,
he's the
from
teacher.
Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen- he's the teacher. Yeah, so it's cool. What
the hell is he doing
I
there? I
it's
don't
just
know.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
I like the character. The character is of his best friend Ned.
He is so good.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's supposed to be Ned Leeds, who's
Yeah,
from the comic,
who's from the comics,
who becomes
who
like
is Betty-
Hobgoblin.
Yeah, but he's also... Isn't he also Betty Brant's
Yeah,
like,
so
husband?
basically what happens is Betty,
Yeah.
this is really difficult to explain.
Who's also in
This
the
is hardcore lore.
in the thing as
she's
the news reporter
which is so
girl
perfect,
who
right?
keeps like saying
That awkward bulletin.
exchange. Yeah,
so
yeah.
good.
She's
Very
excellent.
well done. Yeah, man. I mean, it's a very long, awkward story, but like somebody in her family dies, and to take revenge, blah blah blah, he becomes Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
Yeah.
so to come back,
That's most origin stories.
Yeah, I guess.
Let's be fair.
yeah, no, but I mean, it's great. I mean, I like that I saw Zero from the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah,
is
That,
Flash Thompson.
I couldn't see him as anything but
First of
Lobby
all,
Boy the
That-
whole time.
I have to tell you,
Yeah.
I did not enjoy it. Like, I found it funny, but there was no point to Flash Thompson, really.
Well, I think, like Jishnu keeps saying, like these are characters to be used later on. They're setting them up now. You
Yeah.
can use
Yeah,
them
I-
how
I-
and
I
well
guess.
as choose.
But he wasn't even, like...
A bully?
Not even... He was his underling, first of all.
But you know why?
And
Because in this day and age, right,
Yeah.
there are no school bullies because you know that shit is shut
That's
down.
so
you know?
wrong.
That's wrong.
That is
One,
so
that's wrong,
untrue.
but
there
I
are
know what you
tons
mean.
of school bullies, and they're as bad as ever.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I do think that's wrong, but I do also think that he had to be there, and that kind of bully I thought was perfect because if a physical bully, right, like a big guy, tried to pick a fight with Peter Parker,
Yeah.
he would choose to lose, so it wouldn't really be that bad. He'd be more torn up by the fact that, damn it, I could kick this guy's ass 7 different ways, but I won't.
Yeah.
So if they brought that into the equation, that would be a whole other plot line. That would
Also,
bring
we've
open a
seen it
can of
before,
worms.
you
And we've
know?
seen it before,
Yeah.
but so I think
That's fine though.
I think it
but he's
fit.
not doing anything.
No, but dude, I
really.
think it fit perfectly because he was the rich kid bully. He was the privileged bully as opposed to the physical bully.
Yes, I think that's a good evolution
Being
of
a
him.
high school movie, being like such a John Hughesian film, you needed that
I
character.
like what he did there.
He's got the love interest, he's got the awkward kid, he's got the reject, he's got the nerdy best friend, and he needs a bully. He needs an antagonizer to just give him some
Also,
extra, you know.
yeah, in the comics also, and they played it out really nicely. He really wants to know whether Peter Parker's friends with Spider-Man, and in the comics also, Flash is the biggest Spider-Man fan.
Biggest fan.
He's the biggest fan, and he hates to an equal amount. He hates Peter Parker, which makes that hilarious, obviously, in the comics.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see how that kind of plays out. Like I was so waiting for Spider-Man to jump on his car and be like, I know Peter Parker, and then leave. Like that would have been great.
Perfect.
That would have been so good. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's fine. I'm sure they'll exploit that.
I also love that he
relationship.
couldn't drive.
Yeah,
that was great.
That was so
well,
funny.
he's 15 years old.
Yeah,
though. What do you think about that little point that they just released saying that kid that Iron Man saves at the Stark Expo is Spider-Man? In Iron Man 2, I felt like that was a bit of a reach.
Yeah.
But I
This
mean.
is all very...
Wait, you lost me. What?
So, I mean, just a couple of days before the movie released, they said that, Tom Holland said, I can confirm this because I just had a meeting with Kevin Feige, but the kid that, puts his hand up, he's got the Spider-Man mask on in Iron Man 2.
Oh, right.
And he gets saved by Iron Man, that's Peter Parker, right? So I felt it was, all right, it's a reach. I mean, you're trying very hard to connect the universe.
no one's gonna care.
Yeah, but it's a confirmed thing. Now, the other thing is that, I guess they're saving this big one for later on, but I'm pretty sure the Uncle Ben thing is going to come up later on. If not now, it's going to come up in a pivotal moment. But everyone wants to know which disaster we've seen in the last 8 years is the one that, had him bit.
And I feel like it'll be I'm optimistic that it'll be a really interesting
thing?
It'll be a low-key, interesting, at ideally the most poignant point in the
in the story, exactly.
in the Spider-Man story, because what I loved, just to get in now to the Vulture, my favorite thing about him, the reason he's might be my favorite villain thus far, is because he was a necessary voice for weird to say, demographic that is never addressed in the MCU. The collateral damage demographic, which is millions of people.
That and just the older person who has just had his business removed.
Right. And so
not some child
like
or something.
my dad could have been the Vulture.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
he probably would have.
yeah, this is true. I was just telling Jishnu this also. I just love that they took the Vulture analogy and actually made him a scavenger.
A
scavenger. Yeah, that's true. I didn't
So
really
good.
think of that. But
Yeah, very nicely
good
done.
point. Good point.
Very
But
nicely
I
done.
have a feeling if and when we do get to know about Ben, it'll be he was just a innocent bystander in a Avenger thingy, which will then be instigation for Spidey to either join or create his own Avengers offshoot or something of that sort.
Yeah, maybe we
I feel
might
like
see something. I feel like it's
which
going
would
to
be
come up
relevant.
when he
The
meets
Super
Doctor Strange.
Friends, they're back again. I don't know.
I think
that
when
is
he
a-
meets Doctor Strange,
Perhaps,
maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a little weird though. That might be a bit of a stretch again though.
No, I mean, but that's what he does. He makes people feel bad about their lives.
one super analytic tiny thing is that I saw an interview with Marissa Tomei where she was asked about, it's really cool. This is a different Aunt May. What do you think about it? And do you have a game plan in the back of your head? Like, are you aware of what the backstory for May and or Ben is, which helps you inform how this new version of May is? And she's like, yeah, there's definitely, we know what's happened. It is a game plan. They're not, I mean, this shouldn't surprise anyone.
They're not ignoring
They're
it,
not making it up as they go.
Yeah.
So they know exactly what's happening. And the fact that I think since May is so much younger and she was obviously she's far more adventurous, shall I say, than previous iterations of May.
Yeah.
I feel like Ben 2 will have some...
They're going to make Ben a baller.
Ben
He's
cannot
gonna
be the
be
same.
a true baller.
Ben can't be the same. Especially
Yeah.
if... That would also help inform just how that household dynamic works. Because if she's so invested in his life that she's willing to help him dress for prom and give him tips about how to... homecoming, give him tips about how to court a girl and stuff like that. She's so close to him. Ben would have had to factor into this relationship in some...
He must have been a cool guy, dude.
Yeah, I don't
Had
know.
to be. He always
Yeah,
is.
he was a baller.
Yeah.
If he was putting up with May and she's like that,
But the other thing is he just calls her May.
Because their ages aren't
they're-
very...
exactly.
Actually, but he's like... He's supposed to be 15 and
Yeah.
she's like 50. But
Yeah.
she
She's-
must be playing like 40 because she looks so good.
She does look good,
Yeah.
and she gets hit on a lot, and you get it.
And yeah.
And you
would all... We would all...
I want in on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, so we know that's gonna happen some point in the future. But yeah, just to come back to the Vulture, I really like him as a villain. I think
Very
Michael
good
Keaton,
villain.
just casting Michael Keaton as somebody who's amazing actor who can be truly menacing, and I like that they did not conclude his arc completely,
I love
and I think
that.
that's the
I
best
love
thing.
that.
And I would really like to see like kind of what they're trying to do with the relationship between Mordo and Strange and like in Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Trying to build a long-term kind of
Because these are the
relationship.
phase 4 and 5 characters.
A Batman Joker-esque situation.
Sure.
How cool is
Why
that?
not?
Yeah,
Why not?
right?
How cool is
Yeah.
that? I've always wanted to see like Michael Keaton play
Yeah.
the Joker. Would be
But
so
here's the
good.
thing, like,
Yeah.
and it's also the way they've sort of selected it. Okay, for Doctor Strange, yes, Ban Mordo, perfect.
Yeah, good
But-
balance. Yeah.
But the Vulture has always been like a really
I
old
know,
dude
he's
who
always-
kind of
and-
just, he...
But what if he becomes the father figure that Spidey doesn't have or something?
Yeah,
I don't
because
know.
he is-
And it's also because of necessity. His real foes have been the Green Goblin
Yeah.
and Dr. Octopus.
Yeah, correct.
Both are off the board now.
Yeah.
Right.
You've done it.
Well,
It's-
I mean, I'm
Sure.
sure they want to bring back. I don't see them
But see,
not
I think,
doing.
I think
Goblin,
more than
man.
Vulture,
Yeah.
more than Vulture, I'm really intrigued to see his, at the moment, his girlfriend or whatever, love of his life, whatever you want to call her,
Liz.
her dad.
Yeah.
As his enemy. That
Yeah,
I don't care
that was
what
amazing.
suit you wear, I don't care
Yeah.
what special power you have. The fact that your enemy is your significant other's
how they
father,
made it, yeah.
that is
Yeah.
really cool. So one way to look at it, which would be kind of strange,
his face for those 5 minutes.
oh my,
were
beautiful,
priceless.
beautiful.
Yeah,
What would be really
Priceless.
cool to see though is that the Vulture get-up itself
Yeah.
is totally malleable and changeable.
It's so good
He
too.
himself, that guy, Adrian Toomes, is so cool. I think that it's not impossible. I don't think it's probable. But what if he just changes his thing? He's
I
like,
don't
well,
know.
last time I was a Vulture,
But
this
you
time
know-
I am the Scorpion.
But here's the thing,
No,
though.
he can't do that.
No, because Matt Gargan is
Is
there.
there,
I know,
yeah.
But the
but
cool
like, well,
I'll-
the
they'll
shocker
just-
changed.
They'll
so
just
why not?
That's true, but
because
they-
nobody cares about
But
the
the last
shocker.
the last cutscene has them meet up.
Right, I know
like-
they do. I'm using
My
Scorpion
point
as
is,
a random example.
No, but
I'm saying
my
he
point
could
is
change
just
to somebody else.
So
The
I don't think they
Rhino.
will change him to somebody else. I think they'll keep him as the Vulture, but I think the Vulture will be elevated as a character like we've never seen before.
That's gonna
like
happen.
we've seen. So I mean, Iron Man again, not the most popular character in the world,
Yeah.
is now the most popular character in the world.
Yeah.
It's very possible that the Vulture suddenly gets,
And literally
Sure.
the only Iron Man villain I could name was Mandarin.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't think of any others. I didn't know them very well,
Hmm.
honestly.
What about Graviton? Okay, cool. All right, we're going to take a break at this point, and we're going to come back and talk about the future of the Spidey films.
Hello, I'm Sanjeev. And I'm Tushar. And this is the Rotomouth Podcast, a weekly show where we talk about motors and motoring in India. Cars, bikes, rickshaws, buses, friends, familiars, and time pass.
Find us every week on the IVM podcast app or any other app you might use. Stuck in traffic? Put on Rotomouth. Taking a while in the loo? Rotomouth is there for you.
Dude, that sounded particularly disgusting.
Thank you. But seriously, catch Rotomouth every week.
And we're back. All right. One of my favorite scenes in the comics, basically that homage to Amazing Spider-Man number 33, where he lifts the
Yes.
entire debris
Yes.
just to save.
We talked about that before.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But just proves that, literally his
Yeah.
own, he's only capable of what he's like, what he can imagine. I
Yeah.
think that was really cool. And he can like
Kid's got
addressing-
chops, man.
Yeah.
Kid has chops.
Yeah.
I
There
was
was
so pleased.
serious. I was feeling suffocated in
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
the way
yeah.
he was going on about it.
It was very good. Very
Scary.
emotional
It was
moment.
really
He
scary.
sounded like a kid. I love that.
And
he
I like
sounded
that
like
he
a
kept saying,
scared
"Come
kid.
on, Spider-Man."
Yeah, yeah.
was
That's the
good.
other
That's
thing.
nice.
He's nailed the fact that, and this is another revelation we had in the past. Bruce Wayne puts on the mask and becomes Batman. Clark Kent ditches the glasses and becomes Superman. But Peter Parker is still a guy in a mask.
Yeah. He
Like,
just-
Spider-Man is not a new guy. Spider-Man is Peter
Same
Parker. He's got
person.
a mask and he's bullying people. And that's the thing. So the other part of it is he talks to himself. Like Spider-Man as a comic book character, there are pages and panels of him alone
Yeah,
thinking.
they did it in that scene only, where he looks into the reflection and he sees the half. That was so good.
and he does all this. He has all this imagery of himself. He talks
Yeah,
to
I love
himself.
that.
He recounts his problems, his day. Oh, I have to go meet Aunt May. I have to do this. I have to do that.
I wish they introduced Bruce, the gargoyle who he keeps hanging out with in the comics. There's like a gargoyle on a building who he calls Bruce, and I'm sure which is a note to Batman, but
Yeah.
he just always kind of just hangs out with him.
But
just-
and that's the thing.
so
He
good.
talks to himself.
Yeah,
he
very
really
good.
does. So
Now that he has Karen, he can totally do that.
he can do that as well.
Yeah, that's. I mean, like, I don't know if I was like when I was watching, I was like, am I okay with this? But I was just like, yeah, this is good.
I was weirdly okay with
You're
it.
certainly okay,
I was
right?
I also loved the whole
Yeah.
talk in the. I was like,
Go
there's a
on,
girl that I
kiss her.
like, and then no, and it's like, how long have we been here? 15 minutes.
No,
Yeah.
dude, just at that moment where he
Yeah.
saves her from the elevator,
Yeah.
and she's just like, go
on,
on, now's
kiss
the moment.
Yeah, so good.
It's
It was
so
amazing.
funny.
Artificial intelligence has
Hilarious.
reached an all new level.
Yeah.
Hilarious,
Artificial
hilarious.
matchmaking.
Yeah.
But speaking of that specific suit and Karen and whatnot, so if, as we will all speculate on the future of it,
Yeah.
based on how the new suit was revealed at the end, I stumbled across a really random theory, which I actually have taken very kindly to. Mm-hmm. So looking at Phase 4 and seeing as how RDJ is going to call it quits relatively soon, I think a really interesting way to think about this is, since we know that Miles exists in the universe, since
with Donald Glover.
he mentioned he has the nephew, we know that he is who he is, and so Miles exists in the place, right? Spider-Man has several suits that also exist. There's also now this new suit. Iron Man will tap out pretty soon. Spidey's only just getting started. One theory I read about, which is really exciting. What if, since Karen exists and Iron Man built that suit, and he has a newer suit with even more gadgets than he already has, what if Peter Parker basically takes over as Iron Spider? Miles becomes Spider-Man.
Yeah, I saw.
Miles becomes web
That
slinger.
does look like the Iron Spider suit. It looked a lot like it from the comic.
Yeah.
But if, he could be the new leader. He's got Iron Man's tech on
I don't
him.
think he'll become the leader for sure. If anyone, I think Black Panther is going to become the leader. Like, this is just a theory
no.
of...
By leader,
yeah.
I mean like how... I mean, Tony isn't the leader. They don't really have a leader, but
yeah,
he's
Steve
the...
is.
leader is Captain America.
Steve is
yeah,
the... Yeah,
right.
straight up.
But so that's what I mean.
Captain
Like, he's the
America's
face.
always the leader.
Yeah.
Like,
Iron Man
that's his
is
superpower.
he's the face. He's got the money. He's got.
Yeah.
If you don't have Iron Man, you don't have the facilities. You don't have the resources.
Yeah.
And in that vein, since Happy could still sort of be there to be the surrogate,
Yes,
like
but
things
like
that.
Tejas said, Black Panther pretty
Would
rich.
probably become the leader of the Avengers.
He's
He's done it before.
He's done it before.
I just think... So, I mean, I don't know how to explain what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
Like, how are they going to get these guys to happen?
Let's go back to Spider-Man though. I think that's a better place to just go
Yeah,
with.
so-
I really don't think he's going to move into the Avengers at all.
I don't
Like,
think he's going to become
because-
another Spider-Man just yet. He's still
no,
so young.
that
you know,
and Sony's going to keep it and for sure going to bring it back from the MCU and sort of take it away from there. And he's going to be himself. I think that's the other reason why the end makes even more sense, because he cannot be an Iron Man sort of puppet any longer.
Yeah.
He must be his own superhero.
Very true.
And they've written
Very
themselves
true.
out of the MCU. They've written it out for themselves rather.
That actually is... That just makes a lot of sense. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't see it that way.
Look at the cutscene also. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with the future MCU movies. It has everything to do with the future Iron Man movies. Sorry, Spider-Man movies.
Right.
Right? So you'll know what will happen in the next Spider-Man. You will see the Scorpion somehow. You might see the Vulture come back and maybe unlikely sort of alliance is forged. That wonderful
because he
trope.
saved his life and his daughter's life.
Yes,
So he owes him.
but some people are saying it's also because of the code of Adrian Toomes himself.
Yeah.
Because he's like, you saved my daughter's life, I'm letting you go
But
away.
he says that
now
anyway.
you saved my life,
Yeah.
so I'm not going to
he
tell.
owes him what he calls a life debt.
Exactly. Yeah. So
yeah.
so I think Sony is purposely steering our young
very
Padawan
interesting
away.
that I didn't see it that way, that
Yeah.
he rejects the Avengers because this would make a clean exit for him.
Yeah.
But
It's like,
wow, that's damn
I really
smart.
want to join, but Amy Pascal said I can't.
yeah, exactly.
It's the other Tony Stark.
Somebody had another thing about this. He thought he was being tested, so he thought this was just a test he's supposed to pass.
Yeah.
But what she said, my friend said, she was like, what if he knew that there were reporters? Would he feel obligated to join?
Yeah.
Because then if he knew, he would join, right?
Right.
I said, no, I don't think so. I don't think he cared about it being a test. The test is just a way for him to say, he's just justifying his decision.
I thought it was just brevity. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think
yeah.
that was really what was going through his head.
But then, we're at that stage right now where we can ask these questions.
It's actually a good point. But, to think of it this way, I think, obviously, since he is in the Avengers and stuff like that, I don't know if his solo films are going to interact with the rest of the
But that's the thing,
MCU?
Tejas. Was he in the Avengers? He was called in for Civil War. Civil War means there were no
But
Avengers.
he's actually been filming on the set of Avengers. We know this for facts.
So he's you mean Infinity War?
Yeah. So I think he's going to be in the
But I
Avengers
think
films.
Infinity
his
War
solo
is going to be
films-
an entire Marvel Universe thing, right?
So I think
But no,
okay.
there's no X-Men or
Well,
Deadpool. or
okay,
anything,
right.
right?
So here's one thing. So you've mentioned this before that you want them to stop making Captain America : Spider-Man : etc. etc.
Yeah.
Infinity War, even though it's called the Avengers, the second movie is no longer called Infinity War,
Yeah.
right? Or at least not called Avengers: Infinity War, or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I think what they could do, because it's kind of murky right now, especially the Spidey relationship.
Yeah.
What they could do is if they just stop branding stuff as such, they can, within the movie themselves, he can say, somebody can say Avengers Assemble, and you find, we know these guys will definitely show up. But even if somebody says Avengers Assemble and there are outlying superheroes around, maybe Avengers Assemble as like Act 1, we're going to try and fight the bad guy. Act 2, bad guy beats up the Avengers. Act 3, outlying guys show up as well, and then they all kill him. They don't have to be the Avengers officially, quote
Of course,
unquote, to do the fight.
It's just the story title.
Yeah, so if you just call it Infinity War, it's like, it's up for grabs. You know who's in the
literally
universe.
has infinity in the title.
Anybody can show up. And so
Yes.
moving forward, if you have, say, Secret
Yeah,
War,
but
who's in it? I don't know, people. And that's when trailers will
I
get
would
really
love that.
exciting
I would
because
love
you
to see
don't
that.
know who's
That's
in
a
the movie.
good point, but I still don't think the world at large has grown beyond superhero title film, superhero was going to be in it.
I mean, but take Black Panther, for example, Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't say anything about who the characters are. Like, it's just literally a title, and nobody knew who those people were to begin with. It was just called Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's only going to get weirder.
And people just took it in. People know Captain America as Civil War and not like Captain America. Yeah, they were like, is it Captain America's film? Yeah, sure, but it's also Iron Man's film,
I'm going to do it again. Mm-hmm. I'm going to bring up S.H.I.E.L.D. It's called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. is a pretty damn small part of the show, man, right now. It's Inhumans.
Yeah,
it's Inhumans
that's
and
true.
universe hopping, planet hopping
Yeah.
crap.
Did
might be
you
called
see
Agents.
the trailer for that though?
That's
did.
a whole other podcast.
I mean, that's not.
That's
that's
a
not
whole other
even-
podcast.
I did enjoy though that Iron Man and
The relationship
Pepper Potts
was
Yeah.
really
are together.
The
again.
relationship
that was bothering me.
That was great. I mean, just generally the relationships in this movie are so cheery and happy and nice. Like the whole, I'm trying to give you a compliment because I feel like my dad didn't give me compliments. Don't you hang up on me, young man.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like
I also liked for a second. In fact, I thought that engagement was between like Happy and Pepper Potts, like in the
What?
like in the comics,
Yeah,
because they are married in the comics.
Yeah,
right?
I know,
So
but-
I thought, wait, is this what has happened in the time that we've been away? But it's good, like that they could substitute announcing an Avenger with just announcing an engagement. I thought that was really cheery, like you said, just really happy and good, and made me feel also really chill.
I was a bit unsure. Do you think they actually announced the engagement? What do you
Yeah,
think
he threw the ring to him as they went on stage.
Chal, let's go do it, types.
Yeah.
It's good.
That's American for Chal,
I think
let's
it's
go
also
do it.
because the Civil War is over and everyone's happy again.
Yeah, exactly.
And I wouldn't want them to kill off like Tony Stark. I think he's gonna
Yeah, he'll be a legacy character. They'll
character.
keep him around.
I think Chris Evans is definitely gonna die. Yeah.
Why does Chris Evans always die?
Because Captain America has to die. That's how you make America great again.
Chalo, let's just go home now.
Yeah, let's
We're
leave
done.
on that note.
Yeah.
No, I think RDJ he won't die. He will stick around and he'll be the new Nick Fury.
One second.
He'll Fury it.
One sec. What's gonna happen with Tom Holland though? What's Spider-Man gonna do? I think we're supposed to talk about
I think
him.
Spider-Man's
right?
gonna be fine. He's so young. He's got a long
He's
way
got
to
his
go.
whole life ahead
So
of him.
his next movie, what's his next movie gonna be? Is it just gonna be like fight the villains?
No, his next movie is going to be Infinity War. So he's going to see what he's really made of when he has to go up against Thanos. I mean,
That's actually true. We don't know what we can't.
you can't talk about Spidey. Spidey 2 is a ways away.
Yeah.
It's 2 years away. There's a lot of time. A lot of
So
stuff
when
is
is
going to happen.
Infinity War? Infinity War
Next
is
year.
2018.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to say though, there was something that did kind of bother me, and they brushed off very easily.
Yeah.
In the trailer, there's this shot of Iron Man and Spider-Man just flying out.
through the air.
Yeah, and that's
There's
not there in the
also a
movie.
shot. Isn't there a shot of him and friggin' MJ
Vulture? Yeah.
swinging through the air like she's like grabbing
Okay,
onto
wait.
him?
Before we
that
get
didn't
into
happen.
this, before we get
I
into
don't
this,
remember.
Yeah.
They changed it, man.
how pointless was that MJ reveal?
Okay.
How
now,
pointless.
We're gonna end the episode with
And
this
We talked about
discussion.
this a bit on the Nerdatorium.
Okay.
We
Now
have
here's the
thoughts.
thing. They didn't know. There's been backtracking, a bit on how the reveal was supposed to happen. Everyone knew it was MJ. We all did going in.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
They called her Michelle. I was like, this is strange.
Yeah.
Then they were at the end saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, my name is Michelle, but my friends call me MJ."
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
she's not Mary Jane at all. Like she's
Yeah.
not Mary Jane Watson.
Nothing about her
She's
is Mary
just
Jane.
Michelle with a J.
Yeah.
I would love if that J is Jameson, and we'll get to it later on. But she is supposed to be a metaphorical MJ and not Mary Jane. So there's no Mary Jane in this Spider-Man
Yes,
universe,
but
which is blowing my mind a little bit.
So here's
There's no Gwen Stacy either. There's none of that.
But there's Alan and Betty Brant.
So
that's
I'm
nice.
hoping that I really like that character. Talk about doing a lot with a little. She didn't have much.
So good.
She didn't have
And people
much
are
to work with. And
praising
she
this
was
Yeah,
so
I know.
great.
What is a Zendaya?
I know. I never. Apparently, she's a big deal.
She's gonna
I
be a
didn't know
huge.
she was.
She's got like all the world pinned on her.
I don't know.
for some
I'm not a
reason.
queen, so I don't know who
I
she
don't
is.
know
But
what a
yeah.
Zendaya is.
But now we know, and we should hang on to this and pretend like we were on this bandwagon the whole
Yeah,
time.
man.
guys.
I've been watching.
Whole
I've been
time.
following Zendaya along the
The whole
Serengeti
time.
my whole life. Every
Correct.
safari I go, I
Yeah.
see
Yes.
Zendaya. I'm like, hey, this is
That's
Zendaya. But no, see, my hope.
he did do
She's a
that.
human being. We're all animals. Just like Adam Levine says.
All right.
See what I did there?
Oh my
But see,
god!
look, what I'm
is
trying to say is, I hope that she is just MJ because it's like, hey, every Spidey universe has to have an MJ in it, so she is a MJ that doesn't necessarily have to play out any of the MJ tropes.
I don't know because every Spidey universe doesn't have an MJ. It's like the last
As far
one
as
didn't
this-
really have one.
Yeah.
I mean, like the cinematic thing, just like
The
it just
cinematic
fits.
thing
It fits
didn't,
like you have
like-
a Ben, you have a
yeah,
May, you
but-
have a Gwen or an MJ.
You know what?
And they don't have a Gwen, so
I
they have an
really
MJ.
want Spider-Man and MJ to be together because we've not seen that still. We've not seen it.
So they still
And-
very well
and
could.
the other
but I'm
one,
not saying she
the-
has
the
to
first-
have that trope.
the
No, the first one
movie-
didn't end. It didn't
I know,
resolve.
but
It was so sad. That ending actually was really
and
fun.
It was so bad together.
Yeah, okay, but that
It's-
ending
there's-
made me feel really bad because
It
he
was
was
bad,
about to
yeah.
propose to her, and then this whole shenanigan happened, and then his best friend's dead, and then Signal Fire by Snow Patrol plays, and I start crying.
Good song. All I'm hoping
Yeah.
for is that they've right now, if new MJ version 2.0 knows who Spidey is, I feel like she's one of those smart people that just figured it out a while ago. I think you'll get a great Harry, Ron, and Hermione dynamic going. for the fall.
People have made mention of that.
Yeah, and so I feel like that'd be great.
That'd
and
be
then
pretty
you'll
cool,
get,
yeah. Did
not see
and
it
that
that
will
way,
help further. You know, everybody that's invested in Harry Potter has always been like, oh, Ron and Hermione, will they, won't they? Or will it be Harry and Hermione, will they, won't they? There's that awkward love
And then
triangle
it's
tension.
nobody, which is the best result of all.
No, Ron and Hermione.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so
they
that
have, like,
means what,
babies.
Ned and Michelle?
No,
But
I'm
that's the
saying,
thing,
I'm
so,
saying,
like, if-
no, I'm telling you, like, if it's nobody, it would be the best result of
So
all.
that
yeah.
very well could happen,
Yeah.
but that'll make for a really fun thing because her name is MJ. Like, oh, Peter Parker and MJ are supposed to be together. That's the way that the Bible was written of Spider-Man.
But it's not Mary Jane.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that makes it interesting because then you have like
I
the.
hope option 3 happens.
Which is nothing
Nothing
happens.
happens.
What is this guy doing?
I'm telling you, it'll be great.
That's cool. What if he just says I'm gay and Miles Morales is actually a white dude? It could happen.
Dude, that the amount of outrage.
Yeah, I
oh my
know.
gosh.
You never
No,
know.
I think they'll only refer to her as MJ in the future.
Yeah, of course it will.
Okay,
As in
fair
not
enough.
not even Michelle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course it
yeah.
will.
And then when she gets
Oh,
married, she'll just
oh.
be MJ Parker, which is
Which
perfect.
is- yeah, that sorts
Cool.
it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, the end was kind of just there, where he just comes home, takes his costume off,
Very nice.
Yeah.
and boom.
I'm glad. You know, dude, every time I wait, like every time they reboot Spider-Man in the comics, I'm just like, when is Aunt May going to find out?
Yeah.
She's going
Yeah.
to find out at some
Yeah.
point.
And-
And then it happens.
And
then I was
her,
like,
like
finally.
issues are the worst. She'll faint out of like too much stress and all that stuff.
It's good. I wanted her
Yeah.
character to have some.
Also, just
Yeah.
Dilemma.
the water, and it cuts to music and that
But
beautiful
speaking
like
of the
Blitzkrieg
water,
bop. I love that.
speaking
Yeah.
of the water, I
Yeah.
love that. So they didn't cut it at water. They cut it at like
What
F
they-
and,
what-
an extra syllable.
Yeah.
The words that they do censor, like whatever, like dick or pussy or penis.
Yeah, penis.
They censor the word penis, but
Yeah.
they left the word fu enough in there that you can clearly, like a 5-year-old can tell what word she said.
But that's good. I like that.
Beep porn.
yeah,
They
but
bleep
that's
porn,
here.
yeah.
But that's here. That's India.
The
Yeah.
fact
That's
that
right.
they,
We're in a
but
weird
they
country.
bleep
Yeah.
porn, but I can clearly tell you said the word. I mean, you
Yeah,
started
yeah.
half a one-syllable word.
But now here's the thing.
I know what
when
word
you
you
said
said.
the word,
Yeah.
did people know that you were saying it on this podcast? Because this is going to be bleeped.
But do people know that you were correcting me about the word? Because they don't know what word you just said.
And so
This is
we
true.
end
This is
on
true.
yet another wonderful note.
Okay.
The continuing adventures.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I want to see if it stands the test of time. I think it will.
I think it will.
I'm optimistic.
I'm very
I
optimistic.
think more than
very
Black,
up on this.
not Black Panther, more than Doctor Strange and
For
like the other
sure, I
films.
think so.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think
Guardians
this,
too, actually,
this has
also.
all the potential in the world to be the best Spider-Man franchise.
Yeah, already
Absolutely.
with flying stars.
Just because you have context for everything, man.
That's
you have,
true.
You have larger.
That's true.
You have
But
world building context.
OG Spider-Man was something else.
I thought for a second you meant that Sid has great contacts in the Marvel universe, and I was like, how is he going to do this?
Context.
Oh,
Right.
You have context.
I wish
that's
I-
how I chose to
Yeah.
end the episode.
Yeah.
All right. let us know what you thought about Spider-Man Homecoming.
Homecoming or what?
Yeah.
Oh, acha, okay.
Write in to us at contactgeekfruit@gmail.com, or you can find us on social media at GeekFruitHQ on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And you can go to our website, www.geekfruit.in. All right, bye, you nerds.
एक्सक्यूज मी भैया, एक्सक्यूज मी.
बोलिए मैडम.
मेन्यू में क्या है?
मेन्यू में सीन अनसीन है, पॉडकास्ट है, ऑन कोर्स है, साइरस है, मेड इन इंडिया, रीडिस्कवरी प्रोजेक्ट, एम्पावरिंग सीरीज, सेक्स वेक्स है, IVM लाइक्स है, सिंप्लीफाइड है, कीपिंग इट क्वियर है, थिंग्स एंड डेस्टिनेशंस है, माय नेबर सकरबर्ग है और द फैन गराज है. आपको क्या चाहिए?
एक बार रिपीट कर देंगे क्या?
रिपीट नहीं करता हम. आप जाओ IVMpodcast.com पे और सुनो ये सब, या फिर डाउनलोड करो उनका ऐप, सब आपकी उंगलियों पे.